Hey there and welcome back to my channel. So today I am actually doing a collab video and it is with CanadaKim1978. I will link her version of the video in the description box below so you can check it out, but I just thought it'd be a nice way for two Canadian fragrance beauty reviewers to kind of work together. And it was on this video that Monica, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Sioch, I will link her version of it below, but it's a video idea that she actually took from like the makeup guru or makeup YouTube world and just brought it over to the fragrance world. So I thought it was a fun idea and I wanted to do it myself. So I'm just gonna get right into it. As you saw from the title, this is just a video on 10 fragrances I would have as part of my collection if I wasn't a fragrance reviewer or a YouTuber. Honestly, there are so many fragrances I would still have, but there are definitely other fragrances I have part of my collection because they were slightly inspired for whatever reason to make a video on, and none of these are that. These are fragrances that no matter what, they are ride or dies. I adore them, I love wearing them, and I will continue to wear them whether or not I'm ever making videos. At the end of the 10, I also have an honorable mention, but I'll save that for last. So we're gonna get started with this one. This is Italia by Parfum de Marly. I love this fragrance. I really cannot say enough good things about it. It is stunning. It is my favorite Parfum de Marly, like women's Parfum de Marly fragrance I've tried so far. I like it better than both Delina's Safanad and I forget what the peachy one was like, but the one with the peach bottle as well. This is just spectacular. If you love iris the way I do, or if you're looking for your perfect iris, this might be it. And honestly, it really does outperform what you think it will, because I have not had the best lasting power with Parfum de Marly, the women's line. And this one is pretty much the lightest in terms of scent itself, and yet it is the best performing on my skin, and it really does stick around longer than you think it would. Even like when it gets to a skin scent, it sticks around longer than you think I would. So I was pleasantly surprised, because by this point I had kind of thought maybe they just really don't last on me, but they smell great. But no, this is the exception to the rule, and what a beautiful exception. It is quite similar to Prada Infusion d'Iris. I've mentioned that before. They do have a similarity with the iris, but this is more powdery and more feminine, whereas I feel like the Prada is a little bit more unisex and fresh. This has this warm, it's not a warm fragrance, but it has like a warmth to it that Prada doesn't have. And if I had to choose between the two, I would choose this 110%. The bottle is also a plus. These Parfum de Marly bottles, they're very much in my taste. I like, you know, just in furniture, but in also just stylistically, I've always had like an affinity for really classic, French classic types of architecture or furniture or whatever it may be, and this has a very like classic French type, like Marie Antoinette type look to it. So I'm really into it, and I love a nice black bottle as well. So this 110%, whether or not I had in a channel, I would be wearing. The second one, I did have to have one of my Maison Lancomes, because my goodness, if you've been watching me for a while, did I fall in love with that line? And time again, whenever I have to pick one, it's always between two that I'm deciding, but more often than not, I pick Parfait de Rose. This one, it's just a gem. I mean, again, it's powdery, you know me, but it's powdery in a very different way. It's a lot sweeter. It's very strong. Beast mode 110%. You can certainly overspray this, and I did, so be warned. But I love it. I absolutely love this. It is like take your breath away kind of stunning fragrance, and I cannot recommend it enough, especially if you can get it in these older like the second version of the bottles because they're my favorite. But yeah, the juice, it's just spectacular. It's everything I wanted it to be and more. And that's usually when I know that a fragrance is even more special if it's exceeding my expectations, because they tend to be high, especially for the more expensive fragrances. And if they still tend to be surprising to me in a good way, then I'm all for it. Then we get to a fragrance I feel like I haven't talked about in a while, but I definitely still wear it. This is L'Homme Idéal Cologne by Gilly. Oh my God, you guys. There was so much hype about this, and I'm sure there still is, but there was a point last year, I guess in early 2020, where this was all the rage, and I mean, it's just been discontinued, but it was still like available from time to time. And I really, really struggled with not getting a backup of this because I've been trying to not get backups. And I am happy I stuck to that rule, but wow, is this beautiful. I'm gonna wear it. This has that quality, oh, I love it, that I've mentioned before, where if I wear it one day, I immediately want to wear it the next. And that's another great thing for me in my books. If I feel like I want to wear a fragrance 2, 3, 4 days in a row, even if I don't, but I feel like it has that quality to it, I'm sold. Because I have, I think, like 400 plus fragrances at this point. I know I have to do another collection series. Let me know if you want one, but that doesn't happen all the time. And when it does, like with this and many of the fragrances that I'm going to show you, it's, yeah, I put like an extra star next to this one. It's spectacular. Again, to my nose, it's very, very unisex. And I think a lot of people agree. It's fresh and citrusy, but it has this like almond quality to it as well. I think it's stunning. And I cannot for the life of me understand why Guerlain would ever discontinue it, because I feel like the sales on this, whenever you can find it, are still incredible, and it's got great reviews, and there's a bunch of flankers, but this consistently seems like the favorite. So it's always seemed strange to me that they've discontinued it, but I think it's incredible. And if you can find it, I definitely recommend it. Even though it's harder to find, it's never that expensive. So definitely recommend. And then the next one, if you would have told me a Creed fragrance would have made it in my top 10 2 years ago, I would have never believed you. They are a house that is very hit or miss for me. And it's either like love, oh my goodness, this is everything, or I can't even wear this. Or like that I just don't even want to wear it. And there is very little in between. Granted, I'm not an expert on the house, but in my experience, it's very one or the other. And this is a love. Virgin Island water, again, hype, continued hype around this consistently, that to the point where I was like, I'm never gonna like it as much as they've hyped it up. And I actually got a decant before getting a bottle, which is very unlike me. And the decant sold me. I wasn't even through the decant, and I was like, no, I need this 110%. This is unbelievably good. I mean, this is like, I want to drink this entire bottle good. It is exactly what I wanted it to be and more. And again, how did they end up doing that? I have no idea. It is such a stunning coconut, lime, copra, like just summery, fresh, totally unisex fragrance that I cannot recommend enough. It makes me instantly happy, instantly just, I don't know, like re-energized in a way that very few fragrances can do. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I cannot imagine not having it as part of my collection. I mean, even as I start to go through other summery fragrances, and I finished the bottles, I'm not always drawn to repurchasing even bottles I adore, but this, I can't imagine being without it. I mean, I need to wear it, and I wear it all throughout the year. I wore it in every single season. It's literally the opposite of a winter fragrance, and I wore it in winter indoors because I just love it. I absolutely love this. And the only thing I will say is the batch code thing really is real with Creed. It's probably the house I've noticed it the most, because my decant's obviously a different batch code than this, and they do smell different. They both smell spectacular, but one is definitely sweeter than the other, and one's a little bit more lime heavy. It's just so interesting. I mean, they're like, it's like exactly what you'd expect of just being like a batch difference, where they smell the same, but one has a little more sweetness and one has a little more lime. But I like both, and yeah, like I said, cannot imagine being without it. All right, so the next one took me for a journey, and maybe the journey was part of why it's so sweet to me, but Lune Féline by Atelier de Sar. Again, I mean, it's great, but I never thought it would be as good as this. And this one I actually thought I would dislike, because I was very convinced based on the notes that I would never get any Atelier de Sar fragrances, because they just seemed, from the reviews and the notes, that they weren't in my wheelhouse in the sense that like it wasn't like a safe fragrance for me, but it was a super expensive house. And I felt like even the ones that seemed like, oh, this is a little bit less spicy or a little bit more musky, were so unique and niche smelling that I didn't want to blind buy them. And I thankfully got a sample of Lune Féline, because I would have never picked it up since it's very prominent with vanilla as well, and sold. 100% sold. I could not get it out of my mind. You guys, if you were watching, you know the whole journey. But this is delicious. This is signature scent worthy, if I ever was that person, which I'm not. It is so deliciously warm and spiced without being spicy, and like this kind of, I know there are people that get like a burnt rubber or something note to this. Thank goodness I don't. I just get the most delicious. I literally want to drink this while overlooking a fire outdoors, like a bonfire drink. Oh my God, I love it, love it, love it. I cannot say enough good things about it. It really made up for the Atelier de Sar that I did blind purchase, which was Musky Mortel, which is a harder one to wear. This one though, I wouldn't recommend blind buying any of them. I still stand by that rule. Do as I say, not as I do. I think this is a very hard house to blind buy. Even if you think you're good at it, I think it's difficult. So really try to get a decant or a sample as much as you can. And if I'm saying that, then I mean it, because I blind buy everything, but I really would try to sample as much as you can. Then the next one, complete other side of the price spectrum, I could not include this. This is Truth or Dare Naked by Madonna. Oh my God. I would 100% wear this and every single grapey fragrance that I come across until the end of time. A lot of the compliments that you guys give me, or like the comments that I hear from you guys, is that you like that I don't just go with what's popular, or I talk about whatever I really like, or that I mention fragrances that you guys don't really hear from all the time. And that's the case with this, in the sense that I know grapey fragrances are not for everyone. But if you are someone who gets how delicious that can be, you need this in your life. And it's discontinued and it's hard to find. And this is actually one where I did give in to my own pressure and got a backup, because I am petrified of being without it. And I do wear it a lot, because it honestly does not last a long time at all. So if projections or lasting power is like a bottom line need for you, do not get this at all. But if you like a grapey fragrance, my goodness, is this spectacular. And again, Madonna, would not have expected it. Why did she discontinue it? Because I think it's great, and I would 100% wear it no matter what, channel or no. I think it's amazing. Then we get to a fragrance that I'm sure those of you who've been watching knew I would talk about, and that's Baldafric. I mean, this just smells like me to me. Very unisex, very inexplicably clean, woody citrus. I love fragrances that make me feel like this. They're just like sophisticated and clean and fresh without smelling generic. Like they still smell so unique to me. And this gives me that feel. Wood Sage and Sea Salt by Jo Malone, which I don't own, also gave me that sort of feeling. I much prefer this in every sense, but it's incredible. And I really, I rate it a lot. And I feel like a lot of people that even don't like Byredo, which isn't me, I actually love Byredo fragrances, but even if you don't like Byredo, I would give that one a chance because it's pretty special. All right, now going on with fragrances that smell like me to me, I had to include True Lust by Atelier de Sar. This one, oh my God. This is a very, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, but this, if you were a Gemini, I'm gonna go out on a limb and just say, if you were a Gemini, this is a very Gemini fragrance because it smells like a million different things under the sun. Like, there are so many notes in this, which I feel like plays into that whole Gemini personality, but you really do pick up different things on different days, and it somehow incorporates all these different notes that are not exactly similar, and it still smells like it has some type of like cohesion to it. I really love it. It's powdery, but it's leathery, it's rum. Like today, for example, as I sprayed it in the air, I was really getting a lot of that rum. It almost smelled like a cocktail, but some days it's warmer and sits closer to the skin and is a little more feminine. Some days it's a lot more strong and it's got that leathery kick to it. I love it. I absolutely love it. This is, I don't know if you can see how much I've used, but that is a lot, considering. And this is really what got me interested in Atelier de Sar as a whole. Because they have such unique fragrances, and to be quite honest, none of them after this have ever worked for me. At best, they've been kind of like so-so, but this one made up for the entire house. I mean, if they just come out with fragrances like this, or just this one, I am sold for life. So love that. Then we get to a kind of newer one to my collection. I've only had it for maybe like 6 months or something. And that is by Boucheron. This is Neroli d'Isfahan. Oh my God. This I had on my wish list for ever and ever. Literally from the moment it came out and I saw a press photo of all of them, I had my eye on this one because of the name. And I knew I'd probably like the scent, but once I started watching reviews, and there weren't that many, they did mention how this isn't your typical neroli, and if you think you like neroli and you're getting it because of that, you won't like it. And I read that so much that it just kind of festered in the back of my mind, and eventually I just gave in and got it, and I'm so glad that I did, because while it isn't your typical neroli, I disagree. I feel like even if it's not your typical neroli, you will like this. This is if a neroli fragrance from Italy spent a year in the Middle East, and then came back. Like if they just had like a year abroad. And I love it. I love how it has that kind of spiced element to it without being strong. I love how unisex it smells, and it just smells fresh. I definitely still get that kind of like citrus floral type neroli scent within it, but it's so much more sophisticated and elevated because of the rest of it. I love it. I love the bottle. I love this range. Every fragrance this is the only full bottle I have, but I have some decants, and even the worst of them is like a best fragrance from another range. They're really good. So above all others, I recommend Neroli d'Isfahan 100%. And then finally, the last one before we get to the kind of honorable mention is Insolence, Eau de Parfum by Guerlain. This, again, every time I want to talk about this, I mention that I have a whole bunch of them, and I always get torn. Should I bring the eau de toilette, the eau de parfum, the eau glacée? You know, my Insolence is its own thing, obviously. And I just pull out this one because it's between the eau de toilette and eau de parfum. This is just like a tad stronger. I've done a full review on my Insolence range, so you guys can check out that video if you want. But this is, I mean, this is like a dream. This is definitely like, if this, I had spent years like growing up and when I was a child or teenager obsessed with the candied violet smell and taste. And so the fact that a fragrance already exists that has one of my favorite smells of all time is just a dream. And that's just one more reason why it's such an easy reach for me, because of the fact that I adore candied violets. I love violet in general, but a candied violet, whether it's the candy or the actual candied violet on food, whether it's in an alcoholic drink, whether it's the syrup, like I love candied violet. And this is just pure candied violet to perfection, to absolute perfection. And it's beast mode as well. So be careful with the spraying, but I love that. And then finally, the honorable mention, and I wanted to mention it because it's true that I would wear it regardless of hype, but it's like unbelievably hard to find. But Gucci 2, Eau de Parfum or 2 by Gucci is spectacular. The hype on this, like from a decade ago or more, was intense. And I will not stop talking about this until Gucci come back with this and start making it, because even though I've got one and I've got a backup and I'm set, it's just good. I mean, I don't understand why they took it away. I really don't. If they do come back, I don't care what the price, I mean, I do care what the price is going to be, but like, I don't care about new or production type rules. Like, I want this exact bottle, the heaviness, this could kill someone if you threw it. Like, I want the whole package. I'm just here for it. I love everything about this. It's very hard to find, so I didn't want to harp on it too much, but that would 100% be part of my collection. And yeah, these are the 10. If I wasn't a fragrance reviewer, I'd 100% have these as part of my collection. Thank you to Kim for doing this video for me, or with me, and for joining me in this kind of fragrance tag. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to leave in the comments below which one of these you'd have a part of your top 10 if you didn't have a whole lot of fragrances, or if there aren't these, then let me know which ones you'd pick, and I'll see you next time. Bye.